Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about the real story behind The Conjuring. But before we get into today's video, to those who are new to this channel, please feel free to click on the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you would be notified about the latest updates. So without any delay, let's get right into the video. Moving into the 14-room home in 1971, Carolyn and Roger Perrin, along with their 5 daughters, lived in the old Arnold estate for a decade. They then began to notice strange things happening almost immediately after they moved in. It started small. Carolyn would notice that the broom went missing, or seemed to move from place to place on its own. She would hear the sound of something scraping against the kettle in the kitchen when no one was in there. She'd find small piles of dirt in the center of a newly cleaned kitchen floor. The girls began to notice spirits around the house, though for the most part, they were harmless. There were a few, however, that were angry. Carolyn allegedly researched the history of the home and discovered that it had been in the same family for 8 generations and that many of them had died under mysterious or horrible circumstances. Several of the children had drowned in a nearby creek, one was murdered, and a few of them hanged themselves in the attic. The Perrin girls claimed that they were attacked in the barn by unseen entities and that one night, a series of voices began to speak to them about the bodies in their walls. Andrea claims that her sister Cindy climbed into bed with her one night to tell her about the harrowing news a disembodied voice had delivered. While the girls were dealing with something reaching out to them from beyond the grave, a different series of events began that foreshadowed the terror to come. They claim that at 5:15 in the morning, the smell of rotting flesh would waft through the house, tossing everyone out of bed one by one. Andrea claims that around this time, the girls were visited by a male ghost that tortured them so badly that she refuses to give any concrete details. While the entire Perrin family had paranormal encounters throughout their time living in the house, Carolyn Perrin, the matriarch of the family, seems to have been the most sensitive to the spirits inhabiting the home. In an interview with the Providence Journal, she claims that she knew something was wrong when a woman in gray appeared next to her bed moaning, "Get out! Get out! I'll drive you out with death and gloom." The woman in the gray dress could have been Bathsheba Thayer, the witch believed to have done most of the haunting in this case. Although, she could have been a poltergeist created as a portent of things to come, or one of the many ghosts who dwelled within the home. Andrea Perrin, the eldest daughter, later said, "Whoever the spirit was, she perceived herself to be mistress of the house and she resented the competition my mother posed for that position." It turns out there was actually a real person named Bathsheba Sherman who lived on the Perrins' property in the mid-1800s. She was rumored to have been a Satanist, and there was evidence that she had been involved in the death of a neighbor's child, though no trial ever took place. She was buried in a nearby Baptist cemetery in downtown Harrisville. The Perrins alleged that Bathsheba's attacks began as harmless poltergeist activity. They were pinched, poked, and prodded by a seemingly invisible force, but then things escalated. The Perrins believed Bathsheba wanted them to leave, and the only way she knew how to do that was by torturing Carolyn. When physically assaulting Carolyn didn't work, the Perrins claimed that Bathsheba inhabited Carolyn's body to better horrify them. Possessing Carolyn gave Bathsheba the power to cause the mother and her family intense bodily harm, and it left Carolyn feeling weak and emotionally drained. According to Andrea Perrin, a family friend went to see the Warrens while they were giving a talk in Putnam, Connecticut. After Carolyn allegedly became possessed with the spirit of Bathsheba, the Perrins got in touch with the Warrens who had worked on the Amityville haunting. Lorraine claims that she sensed a dark presence in the house from moment one, but it doesn't take a seasoned paranormal investigator to surmise that the Perrin family was freaked out by the time they called the Warrens. Lorraine insists she and her husband would never try an exorcism, which must be performed by a Catholic priest. Unfortunately, the seance didn't go as planned and made things much worse. However, a seance allegedly caused Carolyn Perrin to be temporarily possessed, which Andrea claims she secretly watched. "I thought I was going to pass out," Andrea says. "My mother began to speak a language not of this world in a voice not her own. Her chair levitated and she was thrown across the room. After the seance, Roger kicked the Warrens out, worried about his wife's mental stability. According to Andrea, the family continued to live in the house due to financial instability until they were able to move in 1980, at which point the spirits were silenced, and the hauntings ceased. In 1980, the Perron family was finally able to sell the house, and as soon as the paperwork was signed, they made a beeline for Georgia and never looked back. In 2013, the movie The Conjuring, which is an American supernatural horror film directed by James Wan, was released based on the Perron family story. Okay guys, that is all for today's video. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell to receive the latest update from my channel. See you soon in another interesting video. Bye.